So you used Claude or OpenClaw to vibe code an entire code base, but what does it actually look like? People tell you about security flaws that can happen. What do those look like, even when the person vibe coding with it are using proper architecture and processes? Well, today, that's exactly what I'm doing. One of my clients who hired me to do a security audit with my team essentially gave me permission to talk a little bit about what we're doing for him and what we found along the way. He's using a lot of my architecture for vibe coding, which is a series of kind of markdown files and folder structure that allows not only you as the person to use Claude or OpenAI or Codex much better, basically routing the AI, lowering massive amounts of token usage, to be able to actually create things, but more importantly, to be able to kind of navigate the AI themselves and turn one single agent into hundreds of agents just by simply using folders and markdown structure. Now, despite the fact that he was using this entire code base is actually still almost entirely vibe coded. And a lot of it needs to be looked through. And essentially, he's going to be working with very high ticket clients, and he wants to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it because he vibe coded the entire thing. Now, the app works, the process works, and I'm not going to show too much about the front end side of it. I wanted to show what it looks like when you, as a vibe coder, as a programmer, as a startup, maybe you're an enterprise team building and using AI tools a lot more, the actual downsides of all this, because I do a lot of evangelizing of AI. My team and I use it every day, but there's also the software fundamentals. There's issues. There is very huge security problems, and we actually ended up finding massive security issues in this very code base right here. And so I just cut up a couple of our meetings. We essentially come together and we all open up the code base and we get on a call and just kind of browse through things. It ended up being about 3.5 hours that we spent looking through this code base, but I cut up some small snippets that might inform you kind of what this actual work looks like, what actual programming at the high level with AI and dealing with AI looks like, as well as just kind of maybe highlighting the complexities that you all need to understand. So without further ado, go ahead and enjoy the absurdities that me and my team have found and what the process of solving them might look like.
Because it's only shared to you guys.
There's a Google integration bundle. If you go to services, API gateway, source, routes, env config, TypeScript, line 66. Here, let me copy.
Which one?
That's the only place I could find an optional, and it's an optional Google integration, and that's the only place where I see a Maps API key. Can you right-click Maps API key and see where that variable goes? Where that?
I mean, this is a dictionary.
Oh, and that dictionary isn't even. So that's not even. Oh, that's defined under AWS. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Just reading from some environment variable.
So the only place it could get is something happened between AWS when he was up. Oh, you know what? I know exactly where it got leaked. I bet you he had OpenClaw create the AWS, and in that process, something somewhere OpenClaw put it, right? And then probably deleted it or got rid of it. I guarantee it was during the AWS creation.
Now, important note here, I wanted to pause in the middle of this and kind of explain something. I say guarantee, there's a chance it could be somewhere else, but realistically speaking, the problem that a lot of AI has is I could sit here and I could have Claude or Codex come through and do a security review. Do a security review of this code base. And it might find a lot of problems. You might be able to use different GitHub repos, maybe Claude Mythos if you have early access to it, but it's not going to notice the things that aren't in the code. Even if it wanted to, it needs the context of that. Maybe one day we'll be able to link in meetings. But the reason I'm so positive in that is while we were chatting, I knew he was using OpenClaw to help him essentially build AWS out in these different processes. So in the process of that, these keys were shared within OpenClaw, maybe in a Git repo, maybe in one of the Git pushes, and it could have been deleted, but those can still be there. And while there are no holes in the actual API key processing here, during the creation of AWS, there could have been a leak. And Claude or any of your other AI are not going to notice that. They're not going to find that. The only way we know is because we saw the actual notification from Google saying they are locking down that API key because they noticed issues with it. So we're going in and actually searching for it. And this is where we think the most likely problem was. So we're going through and actually fixing some of that process. Now, the other side of this is there's also authentication issues we noticed. And we kind of noticed that the AI used Supabase, which for those of you unfamiliar, Supabase is a kind of service you can use for database and connections. But in its creation of Supabase authentications, we found that it had created an entirely new cryptographic layer in which to verify, which you'll hear us talk about here, and the problems that can arise from that.
So, but anyways, there's these 3 algorithms. And when I looked at Supabase, it was like, yeah, there's these 3 different asymmetric key algorithms that you can use. The AI was probably like, oh, I know how to do this algorithm and this algorithm and this algorithm and implement
HS256, yeah.
Yeah. But obviously you're just supposed to use like the
I was just gonna say, why not use Supabase
The
built-in
implementation.
yeah.
implementation? You don't need to build your own cryptography.
And when you go to Supabase, it says you're supposed to use Supabase get session. And it's like
that's what DIR stands for. It's the distributed encoder, right? So that's making its own encoder when Supabase already has its own encoder.
yeah. And it's like auth get session is the correct one. And it's here, and we're in the app, we're in the web app.
Yeah.
So like,
because now you're creating a whole attack vector of just being able to come in and screw around with it if it's attached to, like, this sounds like there's 2 authentications. One that's a base one that is built by the AI, and then one that is built by Supabase. Which the Supabase one, you probably want to use the Supabase one because of legality, right? So if someone does break in, you just blame Supabase.
I mean, yeah,
hear me out. OpenClaw is creating a separate hackable backend so that someone else can get into it.
That's exactly what it's doing.
I think it's just missing guidance and reinventing everything. That's what it just defaults to, right?
Yeah.
Like, let me just create this. I know how to do this.
Well, I think if you go to the tasks, so the giant markdown files under docs, I think in there's probably some sort of authentication. Maybe is it under role permissions? No, I'll have to find it. But I bet you under trust and compliance or one of those markdown files, it's like, hey, develop and create authentication. And like part of it was like use cryptographic, authentication and create your own encoder. And then it's like, oh, wait, I'll just connect to Superclaw. I bet you in one of these markdown files, it says that somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to take me a while to look through it and find it, but I would not be surprised if that's in there somewhere as like a prompt injection. Maybe not like a malicious prompt injection, but...
Another pause here to explain what I was just talking about. So basically, OpenClaw and Claude Code have been creating tasks to basically create processes. And both of this is part of the software, as in creating tasks to do for the people that are using the software, as well as part of the plan to actually be able to build things and handle things. So if you go to task 26, complete demo seed data, 3 projects fully, right? This was completely AI generated, then given into a loop so that another agent would read this and actually execute it. And if you come here, it puts all the executed ones into its own folder. And all of these are just markdown files, text, describing what should be built and what should be tested, whether it's transaction loops and whether or not they passed, how they passed, where they did it. In part of all of this hubbub, at some point, there was some sort of documentation that described building infrastructure and actually handling some sort of kind of authentication process, right? Making sure that that process was handled well. And you can see as we went through a lot of these, there was different roles and permissions areas. This is where we found certain roles and permission issues, whether or not it passed it. So these are kind of a history of what the AI did. Think about it if you're familiar with programming. A lot of the times you'll have comments or you'll have PRs, pushes in GitHub. These are like a kind of store for the memory for us to look at, as well as the other AI or agents to look at and actually read through and know what needs to happen next. If at any point there is ambiguity in this markdown file, any point there's ambiguity in how to implement something, it can create a huge problem. And in this case, what it ended up doing is actually creating a separate entire cryptographic process, separate authentication that is already done by Supabase on Supabase's servers inside of the codebase. So there was 2 authentications happening because it believed it needed to make one instead of just connect to the one on Supabase. Most likely because it read the documentation for that process of Supabase and then decided, well, let me just build it myself, which it did an okay job. I mean, it looked like proper, work there. But this is one of those things you have to think about. These systems end up being black boxes and can make mistakes in the same way that humans make mistakes, which is great for software developers like us. We have more work to do and a job, but at the same time, it's kind of something you want to be careful of. And just remember that if you are vibe coding, please do it. You can build amazing things. I mean, even building a half-working system like this would have taken a full year and a couple $100,000 a few years back. So the fact that he was able, a single person, to vibe code even this code base, I don't really mind that there's a whole bunch of security issues because you can come in and fix it. To be able to actually build out all of this would have taken a whole team. So even in that self, it's impressive. But just again, be very careful and understand a lot of that concept there. Also, this is kind of where I see a lot of future work for the next few years of kind of software developers, software engineers, is reading through markdown files and code, understanding how these systems work and what parts of it. And you can even use AI to do that. And that's what I'm actually doing. As we're going through each package and area, I'm rewriting my own markdown and my own processes to throw in here for future AI to read, not just people. But yeah, important note there.
This one.
Jesus, my head is already hurting from the 2-day waiting. Jesus.
This is the Supabase auth, which I think needs to get deleted.
Entirely.
And the madness just begins down here, where you have public prefixes, which I don't understand what public entirely means, especially when you have so basically all of these are unauthenticated and that you can get to them without any authentication, any user account, I guess. And then so mission control and ops mission control were removed from the public prefixes. But then down here in the is public route, this was added, which I guess is slightly different than if they were up here. But the get mission control and the mission control data. So I guess those 2 things are public. The get endpoints of those.
Guess so, yeah.
I guess.
Leon's like, I don't know, dude. Ask Codex. Wouldn't that make them public again then?
Not entirely. So you could do posts. You used to be able to do posts to these, I believe, which I'm interested why any of these would not all be gets, but maybe actually, no, there is reasons for some things to be posts here, puts and things if you want to do funny query things. But generally you should make they should all just be getters, and you shouldn't let anyone post to these things. But I guess webhooks, you have to post. This custom stuff needs to get removed, I think.
Okay.
Because another thing that this custom stuff does not do is it does not verify the JWT issuer.
Okay.
Which is huge. I mean, I don't know how crazy it is.
Big enough.
But actually, no, it is actually kind of crazy. So you could create a Supabase auth account, create a JWT, and his code would verify it because the issuer would be for the other person's site, not for his site. So you have to actually check that the issuer is your Supabase URL. And if you don't verify that, then it could be anybody's Supabase URL. It could be anyone's JWT. It's a valid Supabase auth token, but it's not a valid token for your project.
Now, we dove into that a lot more, found a lot of different vulnerabilities, and we're already fixing them before he launched it. Luckily, this is an amazing business owner, Mike, with Urban Pulse. He decided that it was good to do an audit of all of this before he launched it to any clients, which is an absolutely great move, right? This is the whole idea. You get speed to production, you lower costs, you lower the amount of effort in there, hand that off to a team, have them fix any sort of issues, then boom, you can launch. And we're not fixing all of the issues right now. We're fixing all of the security things that we can, that we find, any sort of code base that you have is going to have bugs for the lifetime of its existence. There is still bugs being fixed in software that was created 30, 40 years ago, right? There's no end to fixing bugs and issues, especially as you make more updates. So at the end of the day, even whether it's AI or whether it's people, you're going to struggle finding these things and these problems in here. But I just wanted to share this. This is a kind of weird format. I don't know if I've seen many YouTube videos like this where I'm sharing internal meetings that me and my team are actually working on software that is going to be shipping, right? And how we work on it, how we look at it from a traditional software engineering perspective, but with the world of AI added in. And I think a lot of people out there are hyping both sides. They're saying, oh, AI is awful. Look at all these problems that it created. And at the same time, they're saying, oh, AI is amazing. It can build all of these. I think both can be true at the same time. And it's up to the traditional software processes to evolve into the future, this new abstraction of code and semantics and language. And I think we're building the systems and processes for that now. Also, kind of side important note, I see a huge opportunity for companies right now, for agencies, software people to go out there and just freelance. Like if you got fired from your job because AI took over or something like that, and you're a good software developer, you could probably create an agency right now, throw up a website that says, I test your vibe coded software, I check it and solve it and fix problems. You could probably pull in 40, 50 grand a month within like a week or two of good marketing and reaching around. But, you know, to each their own. I think that's a new space that might be kind of forming. I'm a big believer that software is not going away. It's becoming more valuable. I'm a big fan of what Asington Z, Anderson Horowitz, he says, Andreessen. Oh my gosh, I'm pronouncing his name wrong every single time. But very much believe what he's saying, how software is going to become more produced, more valuable, more needed. Because more people are creating it. It's just like with the lower languages, with Python, with C#, with the first compilers back in the 50s and 60s. It didn't remove the need for machine code programmers or any of these different things. It didn't make less programmers. It made thousands and thousands of more. Every time we make a language, programming language, easier to understand and see, we increase the amount of people who have access to building with it. And I think this is just another layer increasing that access. Are we going to replace a lot of processes? Probably. Are they going to be as valuable and people pay for them as much as they used to? Maybe not. But as you can see, even today, with some of the most advanced AI that is doing amazing things and is getting better every day, there's still things that fall through the loops because there's no such thing as best in such a complex world like this. There's opinions on which software to use, which programming language, when to use it, how to use it. There's an infinitely complex kind of process of elimination and choices that can be done here. So I hope this video kind of helps show some of you who maybe are less technically inclined what this kind of world looks like and gives you a sight in. And for those of you who are software developers, you got a good laugh kind of seeing what we wandered through. But other than that, if anyone wants to learn more about my folder methodology, about any of my work, go check out more of my YouTube videos or go ahead and join my community. The link should be in the description. And I'm very happy to kind of work and see and show all of you that we're discovering because we're learning along the way too. No one's ever a perfect leader in this space because no one knows everything yet. So I'm here to hopefully cut through that hype. And until next time, friends, happy